You can't go a mile without passing a Walgreens, just like you can't go anywhere in a Toastmasters with District 8 and not run into RJ. Back in 2020, I was the first virtual district contest chair, and I reached out to RJ to ask him and recruit him to be my chief judge. That included being the chief judge and all of the planning that went into that virtual contest that was still new to all of us. I think at the time that I made that phone call, he took his wisdom and set it on the counter to pick up his phone and answer because somehow he accepted. Not once did he even made an inkling that he had any reservations about stepping into that role. Excuse me. The only thing I can oh my goodness, I can't think today. The only thing that I was thinking at that point was he either doesn't know how much is going into this planning, or that he thinks that he can just set it aside and let me go ahead and take care of it for him. Couldn't have possibly been his dedication to District 8 and Toastmasters in general that kept him coming to all of those several dozen planning meetings that we had. As you all heard just a short time ago, RJ's favorite person in the whole world is not a person at all. It's his dog, Boo. Boo was a puppy during the planning of these contests and frequently made appearances. Often those appearances took center stage and 100% of RJ's attention. His obvious obsession with his new companion prompted him to dub the Google Drive that we're using for all of our planning as the Canine Drive, which many of you probably still hear because we still use that term to this day. That summer, I reached out to RJ when I was trying to start up a club in a different district, and I reached out to him for some guidance and assistance with finding the right people to talk to in that district. And of course, with no reservations, he hopped in and was willing to help, put me in touch with the people in New York City. Although, as we were hanging up the phone, I could have sworn I heard him mutter under his breath, "Good luck, New York, she's your problem now." Although he was not wrong, all I have to say is, good luck, District 8. RJ's all of our problems now. But what a good problem to have. Back to you, James.
Awesome. Next, we turn it over to another past area director, Kathy Brennan. Go ahead, Kathy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, James. RJ. I met RJ my first round as an area director in 2016. RJ was the Division C director at that time. We met in Hillsborough in the parking lot of Montgomery County Toastmasters. The club was struggling, and we both had a vision to help that club out quite a bit. And we did. Together, we helped rebuild the club. As I recall, RJ gave a presentation that night. I believe, yes, it was a PowerPoint, and he spoke. And not only does RJ speak a long time, RJ speaks loudly. And I was, yes, I was designated to be the speech evaluator for his presentation. Me being rather impertinent, not having been in Toastmasters that long, and still just saying exactly what I thought, I pointed out that perhaps RJ needed to use his indoor voice because we were in a small space and my ears are going like this all the time he was talking. He did not modulate, did not lower. I believe that might have also been the time when I was his evaluator and impertinently pointed out his use of the word gal when and yes, being quite the feminist that we should be. I see some other people chuckling about that. Use woman would be the more correct term nowadays. And I may have still heard you say gal once or twice. I know you were referring to your pup, probably, RJ, when you say gal. Yeah, that's probably it. I also recall in the parking lot asking how to apply for reimbursement for my visit, because being by the book kind of a person, I'd read all about reimbursement for travel expenses. You let me know that this was the unofficial visit that we were making, which I, again, impertinently, so I'm roasting myself really, but as we became friends, you learned how to manage me. I learned to understand you. You let me know that your loud voice came from serving in the Navy. And then I realized that's why my husband has the same loud voice. He's also a Navy man. Then you two bonded over that. And it's been a pleasure knowing you all this time, RJ. Thank you, James.
All right, thank you, Kathy. I can definitely relate. Being an Air Force guy, we definitely got to
Yes.
talk loud. All right, our next person, past district governor, Tom Kasha. Take it away, Tom.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, and especially you, RJ. Well, everybody knows that Toastmasters transforms people, and RJ is no exception. I'd like to share with you, as district photographer, a photo of RJ when he first joined the district. And hold on, just a second. Let me just do this. You almost wouldn't recognize him. Hold it, here we go. Wait. Share, okay, share photo. And there we go.
Ah,
So there is younger RJ. And when he wanted to send his photo in, you know, this is the RJ we all know and love, okay? But I want you to see something here. Okay, this is the one RJ we know and love, and I teased RJ about this. I think RJ knows where this is going. So look at RJ now, and look at this guy. Look at RJ. Look at this guy. And I thought maybe we could do something else here. Share, and I think we can go with. Oh wait, let me do something here. Oh wait, no, we need to do the art. Oh wait.
You're sharing music, we can't hear it.
All right. Okay. All right. So anyway, I like to just congratulate RJ on being our budding Willie Nelson. Thank you, Willie Stratton. Back to you, James.
All right, thanks, Tom. Wow, that was good. All right. Our next participant, someone who knows RJ very well, past club growth director, Larry Hemingway. Take it away, Larry.
Yee! Get my background off here. Transition, hold on. Yes, no, there we go. There we go. All right, good stuff, good stuff. Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, don't see any guests. Maybe there's some guests on here. And more importantly, RJ. Wow, I've known RJ probably for about 15 years or so. In fact, a part of our lives actually was and still is regional managers for a nationwide company. And so like Toastmasters, we train people and we focused on communication with people, and RJ got people mad during that stint, as well as he did with Toastmasters. In fact, RJ had another sponsor within Toastmasters. I think it was Dr. Todd Austin was his sponsor within Toastmasters. I informed RJ to become a part of Toastmasters many years ago because of where we were at in our training and where he was at in the area of leading people across the company. So I kind of go back to RJ and talk to him a little bit about does he remember some of those other days when we had doing multiple trainings, but nevertheless, RJ also, and many of us know that he is a chief petty officer or a CPO or a E7. Now, I'm not really familiar with the term of CPO, but I think one thing in that is that they're supposed to be pretty knowledgeable. And so I was wondering, why did it take RJ at least 10 years to join Toastmasters if he was pretty knowledgeable on training other people? And so I think he had that pregnant pause in joining Toastmasters, but nevertheless, he should have joined Toastmasters soon so he can move up to the senior chief officer, right? Isn't that what we do in pathways? But he wasn't pretty knowledgeable on that aspect on the front end. But nevertheless, I love you, RJ. Take care, take charge, but more importantly, stay blessed.
All right, thank you, Larry. And also thank you for introducing RJ to Toastmasters. That's been a really big blessing for us.
Yes, sir.
All right, next is past Club Growth Director, current Division E Director, Vic Madison. Take it away, Vic.
All right, thanks, James. RJ, my once and likely future boss. I really enjoyed serving as part of the leadership team, the trio with you and Dawn Tucker. Now, for those of you that don't know RJ real well, he's got a lot of really great qualities. He's organized. He gives clear direction. He's patient. He empowers others. And RJ, I just can't read the rest of your writing on this. I wanted you to type this for me, but I just can't read your writing on it. I think that last one you said was supportive. In any event, RJ has a lot of great qualities. And for those of you that aren't perhaps fully aware, RJ is now retired from a long career with the Navy as an operations expert. And I'm not very sure, RJ, what retired means. I think maybe it means old and soon to pasture or something like that. Now, if you look on RJ's LinkedIn page, it says he's semi-retired, and I don't really know what that means. I don't know that means maybe he's indecisive or doesn't really understand what the whole retirement thing means, or maybe that just means he's failing at implementing his retirement, which is really frightening if an operations expert from the Navy is failing to implement something that seems pretty straightforward. RJ's military training and experience shines through in his work with others, but I do want to share it. There was some kind of uncharacteristic tensions as it related to some of our district leadership. And in one of our meetings, for example, we were discussing the incoming leadership team, and it was Dawn and RJ and I, and Dawn, you may recall this. And we were talking about the team, but we were specifically talking about David Kincaid. And he said to us, how do you know when your date with a pilot is half over? And he said, well, David would say, enough about me. Do you want to hear about my plane? So I thought that was kind of, an interesting way for him to approach David. And of course, James Childress didn't escape comment either. He said, the reason that sometimes the different branches of the military bicker is because they don't speak the same language. For example, if somebody said, secure the building, the Army would post guards around it, and the Navy would turn out the lights and lock the doors, and the Marines would apprehend everybody inside and set up a headquarters. But James and his Air Force buddies would take secure the building to mean take out a 5-year lease with an option to buy. And so I thought that was really a different way maybe of people to think about, same lingo in that. Now, let's go ahead and get the elephant, in the room out there. RJ is getting old. I mean, we saw the pictures that Tom shared. It seems like just a month ago, RJ was young and fun, and now he's turning down the car stereo so he can see better. And that's kind of weird. And his alarm clock, instead of an annoying sound, it says, get up, go back to sleep. It really doesn't matter anymore. RJ's entered the Snapdragon part of his life. Some of his parts have snapped, and the rest of him is just dragon. And as evidence of RJ's aging, I mean, when he was younger and he dropped something, he would just pick it up. And now he just kind of stares at it for a second and wonders if he really needs it anyway. My last two things here. RJ is really efficient in his communications, and maybe that's from his military training, and he likes to be brief, and so he's taken to using these acronyms, but he doesn't use them the same way as other people. I was going back through my phone and I was noting some of the things that he had sent me. He said BFF, and of course we think of that as best friends forever. And he said now that he's getting old, I think it means best friend. His best friend fell. And FWIW, for what it's worth, he means that for him, instead of for what it's worth, it means I forgot where I was. BTW, by the way, he means that's supposed to tip us off to bring the wheelchair. And so it doesn't mean, by the way, it means bring the wheelchair. FWB, now, that means friends with benefits, of course, but he means friends with bronchitis. LOL means living on Lipitor. BRB means his bladder is really bloated. And this one he kind of got right. It says ROFL CGU. So ROFL means rolling on the floor laughing, but then the CGU means he can't get up. So he got that one kind of right. And it's not all bad. Getting older has made RJ a little bit more independent. Now he can hide his own Easter eggs. So my time's up. RJ, I'm glad that we're friends. I'll hope you accept my my portion of the roast as good-natured ribbing. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Vic. Bring the wheelchair. That's a good one. All right. Next is past division director, Art Stanzi. The floor is yours, Art.
Rather than tell a story from our past, let me share this with you. RJ, and I mean no disrespect to the US government or the US Postal Service, but a letter severely damaged showed up in my mailbox, and it appears to be addressed to you. The letterhead's destroyed, and I can't really tell what it is. So let's work through it together and see if we can figure this out. And starting where it becomes legible. Dear Mr. Stratton, we are writing to express our sincere thanks for your actions as Toastmasters District 8 Director from July 2020 through June 2021. Because of your gifts to division directors and your continual encouragement to all to obtain printed leadership guidance, our members experienced an extraordinary increase in sales during your term in office. We thank you for your dedication to reading and your dedication to lifelong learning. Thank you for your understanding of the timing of this letter. It took some time for our accounting and marketing departments to identify the cause of that startling increase in sales. Oh, maybe this is it. Sincerely, Maria A. Palente, President and CEO, the American Association of Publishers. Charles.
Is that it?
Yep. Oh,
Okay.
returning the floor to you, Charles.
It's James.
Oh, I'm sorry, James.
You forgot. It's been way too long. All right, thanks. All right. All right. Next is current Club Growth Director, Dawn Tucker. What was yours, Dawn? And you're
And
on
you're
mute.
muted. You're still
Dawn,
muted.
you're on mute.
Well, as Larry said, I'm glad you didn't hear that. As several of you heard today, or you might have already known, RJ was in the Navy. In fact, if you go right now to the District 8 website and look on the Teams page, you can see what it says in his biography. Retired, highly decorated U.S. Navy chief, served 23 years. Highly decorated. Well, I'm going to tell you, that's not even the beginning of it. RJ was so highly decorated that many years ago, one December, his family took one look at him and decided, hey, they wrapped him up in twinkling lights, put an angel on his head, and let him be the Christmas tree. He was that well decorated with so many awards and honors. Well, after he retired from the Navy, it seemed a little pompous to walk around with that uniform and all of those decorations. So he had to come up with another idea. First thing he did was buy a tuxedo. Where's your tuxedo, RJ? Can't believe you're not wearing it today. And then he joined Toastmasters. He immediately started getting more awards and more honors, just like he had in the Navy. He served in club offices. He served in district offices. And you know, there's a pin you can get for each one of those things. He got those too. Until finally, he had so many pins and ribbons and awards, even without the Navy uniform, his family said, we're going to go back and use him as a Christmas tree again. And so they wrapped him up again in twinkling lights, put an angel on his head, and let him be the Christmas tree. But this time around, he didn't have that military haircut anymore. RJ, that long hair going down your back, it's in a rubber band, so we can't see it. But when he's the Christmas tree, he just lets it flow down his shoulders like silver tinsel on the tree. Now, the truth is, RJ does have a lot of awards and honors, and he did earn a lot of buttons for being officer in the clubs and in the district, in Toastmasters. But that's because he was giving back to the organization. RJ has given much to the Toastmasters organization, much to the district, as well as his clubs, and to individual members. So those honors, those ribbons, those buttons are definitely earned. Wear them with pride. Be the Christmas tree, RJ. We appreciate everything you've done for us. You are known for being the club growth director and the division director who was always in the car, who drove hundreds of miles, who delivered trophies, who was there to help. You were generous with your time and with every effort you could make to help others and the district succeed. And for that, I thank you very much. James.
Thanks, Dawn. All right, Christmas tree. All right, we have time for a couple of people from the floor. If y'all want to roast RJ, do you have any volunteers to speak 1 to 2 minutes? Please raise your hand.
David Kincaid.
Okay, David.
Thank you very much, James. Do you know how to tell if there is a pilot in the room? Just wait, they'll tell you. It's fine. But anyway, RJ. I'd like to say that I've known RJ for a very long time, but I didn't know him before he went native, that's for sure. And what I've learned today has been eye-opening. I now know for a fact why I have never seen RJ Stratton and Willie Nelson in the same room at the same time. That has been puzzling me for the longest time. But seriously, okay, not seriously. By the way, Art, Charles, really? I can't really think of too many things to roast RJ about because everything I want to roast him about is completely overwhelmed by all the wonderful things that he has done to help me succeed in Toastmasters. This piece of paper that he gave me almost a year and a half ago has been my constant companion. This is the Bible of how to conduct business in District 8. I'm going to pass this along to Karen. I do have to correct some spelling and grammar, but I will pass this along to Karen as soon as I can. There's also a few passwords that I've changed for our own protection. But RJ, thank you so much for everything you've done for District 8, for myself, and for everything you're going to do for us. And whenever you have to go out and play with a dog, that's fine with us as well. Thank you. Back to you, James.
All right. Thanks, David. All right, next we have Maureen. Floor is yours, Maureen.
Thank you. I haven't known RJ very long, mainly through email. And I think part of his email says wild. It makes me curious. Why the wild? What does that mean? Motorcycle rider? Could it be maybe even a gang member? But after just being in a few contests this past year, I found that RJ is shy of being wild. It's rather courteous, respectful, and helpful as I'm learning little new things about Toastmasters. I just want to say thank you, RJ, for your wonderful mentoring. Whenever I have questions, you're always nice and you always give me what I need to do the job, whether it's a timer or being part of some kind of judging. You've always been true, and it's been really nice knowing you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Maureen. All right, our last participant, Evelyn. The floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone, or afternoon. First time I met RJ was in a TLI roaming the halls. He looked to be seemingly looking for something, and the fact that he talked to newbie me left me kind of startled, but I knew it was genuine. I have something I have to do, so I'm going to set that up. The few 3-hour conversations that we had on the phone, you were give and take. They were very informative, and yet you also received what I was saying, and that really makes another member feel very special. It did for me. RJ, I've noticed that you have a way to quickly build rapport and connect with others. You share your love for Blue, and you turn around and hear about our critters too. One thing we quickly discovered was that we had a certain part of our heritage which was Native American, and every time I think of you, or hear this song, RJ comes to mind. It's got to play. Why is it not playing? Cherokee Nation. Finally, your signature line on all of your emails was, thank you for all you do, and I felt it truly came from your heart. And you make me feel that way, RJ. And thanks for all you do. James.
Thank you, Evelyn. All right, I was informed that we had someone else raise their hand. Andrew Welter, you have a story to share?
RJ, I can remember I can't remember exactly which conference, but I remember the first time I saw you out in the crowd. I'm a rather newbie, just trying to learn anybody's name, and I can see you off in the distance, and you just came across as one of these larger in life people. It's like, I'm never going to be in the same realm as this guy. But then I got to know you, and I got to know how great you were and how you were always there to help people, and you always were there to impart wisdom. And I was like, this is the guy I can really go to. Then I found out you were a Cubs fan. I had to question all of your decision making whatsoever. And then, if that wasn't enough, then you come and ask me to be a division director, and were happy whenever I came on. Then I knew I had to question your decision making. Either that, or you just thought that you were able to mold anybody into a great leader. I don't know which, but here on the other side, I'm so glad you decided to reach out to me. And I know he knows I have this, but he gave all of us division directors one of these Toastmaster coins. I keep this on my desk all the time, look to it all the time, because it's a way for me to just reflect on myself. And I know that I have grown so much, RJ, thanks to your guidance, your leadership, and just being who you are. And so I want to thank you so much for that. James, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, so now we have the guest of honor, the one and only RJ, to give his rebuttal or reflections.
Thanks, James, and thanks everybody for setting this up. I feel humbled and honored at the same time to just listen to some of the comments and reminisce about some of the stories when I first met some of you and ran into, and some of the things that was asked of me as I was traveling around that district like a madman. They're like, "Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You have to ask me, and you're part of Toastmasters? Seriously?" So, but there was so many other stories, and I'm just trying to touch on some of these. I love the one that the picture that Tom you showed. I've forgotten about the one with the shorter hair anyway. And I will say this to that. I had to do without long hair for at least 23 years, 24 years. But once I got back out, got back in society, I changed back into the wild man I was. So a little bit to that effect anyways, but a little bit more couth, as my wife say, a little bit more demeanor in some ways, but not always. And some of the other stories, Vic, thank you, sir. I can't express enough that, you know, I grew a lot from just knowing you as well. And because I remember the first time that I got the look from Vic, and he has that way he can deliver a look. It just, you have to see it to really understand what I'm saying about the first time that we crossed, and I kind of come across like, no, this is the way it's going to be done. He gave me that look like, what? Who are you? What do you think you're talking about? And, but as from that grew a friendship, you know, we've done a lot of luncheons together and spoke about a lot of stuff. Got a lot of respect and admiration for Vic and what he's accomplished. Larry, yeah, thanks for your persistency. 8 or 9 times later, you finally talked me into it. And I remember the earlier conversations. No, I don't need Toastmasters. I've been through Dale Carnegie. I've been an instructor in the military and everything. There's nothing they can teach me, nothing I can learn or impart. And you finally talked me into going to one. And I went to, of all places, the Scott Air Force Base out here. And I saw one of them at the time. And I thought she was a little bossy herself, so I kind of adapted that. But Yolanda, she was like, I love the way she came across. Between Larry and Yolanda has sold me on the bill of goods. And the fact that some of the stuff I could see and really get into. And as that grew and as I accomplished more, I wanted to give back more, which is my nature anyway. Art, you know, it's no wonder you're a Cardinals fan. You couldn't even call James by the right name. So I understand where that's coming from. Most Cardinals fans are lost in this fantasy because everything's probably bought and paid for, just like the New York Yankees. Dawn, I loved the way you wound it up and told up, because I was wondering where you were going with that, but that was awesome there. And I love, you know, of anything on a nicer note, I really love your energy and enthusiasm for everything you put into as the program quality director that last year. It was awesome to watch you work. There were times I thought you were out there and way out here in left field somewhere, but I kindly caught on as just all your enthusiasm and everything for Toastmasters was going into it. And I learned to just kind of take it for what worth and kind of remember, like you first told me earlier on, hey, you know, I may not seem like it at times, but I'm truly an introvert. So, and you're kind of an extrovert, and you come across a little strong at times. You need to be aware of that. You and my wife would have some great conversations Because I remember the first time she told me, she said, you're not in the Navy anymore. You need to tone things down a little bit and the way you speak. And of course, there was Toastmasters helped me with a few of the choice words I used to use in some of the presentations. That was in the Navy, though. There were some of those I had to refrain from. And to Kathy's point, the first time she said gals, I'm like, what's wrong with you, gal? I said, I'm from the Southeast Missouri down the Boot Hills. I don't understand this. You don't communicate in the same wavelength as I do. And that, and you also would get along with my wife, because I remember the first time she used that very phrase, she goes, inside voice, inside voice. You need to tone this down a little bit. And I said, well, you got to remember, I'm used to yelling over jet engines on a flight deck of a carrier. So I've got to project a little bit, and it just comes across natural. That, and earlier on, even before the Navy, I had to project over Harley engines a lot of times. And one of the questions that Maureen asked me, the name on my email, Wildcard, actually on a serious note and a true note, that was my riding name before I went in the Navy. I've ridden Harleys for over 40 years, and they used to call me the wild card because they never knew what I was going to do. And my wife says to me, she still to this day, she says, you're kind of true to your form even back then, because there's a lot of times I don't even know what you're going to do. And her favorite phrase anymore is somebody asked her, you know, how can you put up with this? She said, I keep him around for entertainment. I never know where he's going with something, what he's going to do. So it's interesting. But Toastmasters itself kind of fit right in with everything that I did and still do to this day. And I share the other story a lot of times because it's just my nature. Walking down a mall one time, I never forget the first time my wife, we first got married and got together, walking down a mall and somebody come up to me and started talking to me. And we had on a good conversation for a good 10 or 15 minutes. And she said, who was that? And I said, I have no idea. I don't know who that was. And she goes, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. People just gravitate to me, want to talk to me. Maybe I got that Willie Nelson look. They just want to talk to me and ask me to do a song for them or something. I'm not sure. And last, but certainly not least, Andrew, I remember the first time I thought you were going to talk about that. I actually, first time I remember really getting to know you better was when I traveled down there to do a presentation on pathways for you guys down there. And I remember you were just full of questions at the time. And I can't tell you how proud I become watching you become, well, along with Debbie Young, one of the pathways guides in the future, and trying to lead people into pathways to where they would accept it for what it really was. It was an important transition to kind of put us into the 21st century and to, you know, kind of put in perspective, what are we trying to do with these, not just speaking and not just some of the verbal skills and stuff like that, but it's important what Pathways delivers to us and the life skills that it gives us now that we can apply. And of course, I can't forget Tammy either. Tammy, the first time I met you, I was kind of like, who is this gal? I was at a TLI and you were just kind of real, and I know better now. I start to say you're just kind of demure and kind of not really outgoing or a whole lot of not. I know better now. I learned the more of it now, especially you being Toastmaster, or not Toastmaster, but Zoom master at times when we start transitioning and all that. In a never ending supply of questions, I'm like, really? Seriously, let's just do it. Well, it's not that difficult. Little did she know I am challenged, computer challenged. I'm just computer literate enough to be dangerous, as my wife puts it. I know enough to destroy stuff or put a crimp in any kind of virus that's out there. And James, I can't say enough about what it meant to me to follow up behind your footsteps. And it seemed like I always was. Ever since I met you at Scott Air Force Base out there, and we had the taskmaster, if you will, Yolanda Wood up in front of the room, you know, cracking the whip and making us sign up on that big board where we posted when we completed a speech or we completed some of the old charts. But it seemed like every time I turned around, James would be, all of a sudden, James is becoming the area director. And then when James went in to become the division director, I was the area director underneath him for Area 6. Then when he went on to become the one of the district trio underneath Elaine Curry, I followed him into that footstep again, because I got this call one time, and I never will forget that to this day. And it's one of my fondest memories. And it wasn't the best of times either, by the way, because there was a lot of stuff going on within District 8. Was kind of, we were losing people. We even lost a club growth director at that point in time. But I never will forget, James called me up, and it had been a while since we had talked. but he calls me up. And I could always tell when there was something going on because he would say, hey, RJ, and there'd be a pause. And you talk about a pregnant pause. I mean, this was a pause to the point where finally, after a couple minutes, I'd be going, James, what do you want? What is it you want? Just spit it out, get it out. You know, the old country boy in me coming out from the Southeast Missouri diner was like, no, just spit it out. Don't hold it back. I can take it. I want you to be club growth director. Well, I take that back, James. I can't take it. I don't want to take it. But eventually, after thinking about it, knowing James what I did and stressing he really needed my help, I took on the task, and it was an experience, a growth experience in my book, because I really didn't know a whole lot that went into recruiting clubs or building clubs or getting clubs started and chartering them and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, I found myself thrown into the fire saying, you got 5 weeks because we're going to have a visit from our regional assistant director. I'm like, what? He said, you got to have all these put together to take her around and show her to these clubs that are going to potentially charter. Well, we did all that. We got a few more clubs added. And again, it was a life-changing experience for me because I learned a lot more. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention John Berry. John, wealth and knowledge helped me transition into that position. The only thing I can say to everybody on here that kind of knows me and the other side of me, yeah, I've heard all you're nice and you give back and you do all this. But then there's the other side that comes out occasionally. I try to repress it because I've come more aware of it in my Toastmasters career, is that my wife again says to me all the time, she goes, you know, sometimes you come across a little too forward, a little too blunt, and some of the language you use could be a little bit more refined. And I'm like, seriously, are you kidding me? That's the way I'm supposed to talk. Don't you know? And it's not about all yuns. It's not about all you gals and all that out there. It's about what I deliver, what I bring to the table. So with that, I can't, again, thank everybody on here enough for your few minutes. Everybody didn't get a chance to speak. All I can say is I share very fond memories of everybody in Toastmasters District 8. And I cherish every moment I've had with it so far and look forward to future moments. James, I'll turn it back to you, sir.
All right, thank you, RJ. I want to thank y'all for coming out for RJ's roast. It was really great. Thanks to all the participants, and especially RJ. We thank you for your service to District 8 and, you know, everything that you've done, but just thankful for your friendship too, because you're a great guy. So with that being said, I will end this roast and turn over to Karen.
Thank you, RJ. And thank you, James, for running the session. I really appreciate you doing that.